Good morning, everybody. Welcome to day 5 of our fast. If you're still doing this, good for you. I really mean that. The majority of the Western church does not participate in fasting at all. And those who do usually do it for a short time. So if you're really pursuing this after 5 days, good for you. I really mean that. Kudos to you and praise God for helping us, right? Today is the day of Epiphany, and if you see our Christmas tree, one of ours, which Steph's got a bunch of, this is the last day for our trees normally around our house because we keep them up through Epiphany. Now, I wasn't raised in any kind of liturgical setting, and maybe you weren't either, so I didn't even know what Epiphany was for a long time. But later on, I discovered that Epiphany is the day that is historically set aside to commemorate the wise men finding Jesus there in Bethlehem. And I wanted to share something with you about that I think directly connects to our fasting. The wise men, they saw a star and they followed the star. And the end result was they had a revelation of Jesus that very few have ever had. They had an encounter with the manifest presence of Jesus, unlike many have ever had in history. It was an incredible experience for them. But remember how it began. They saw a star and they followed the star. All the star did was tell them there was potential for more. The star said there's something else out there. There's more to be discovered. There's more to know. There's greater revelation somewhere else. And the star tells them of this, but the star in and of itself wasn't the more. Okay? It wasn't the revelation. And the reason I make that point is because I know for me, more times than I could ever remember, and certainly this has been my experience with just hundreds of other believers I've walked along with over all these years, is that God will bring a star into our lives. He will bring something into our lives, and many times, by the way, it's a notable thing. We have a really neat encounter with God in prayer or reading the Word or in a worship time, or somebody preaches a sermon and it really stirs us, whatever. There's so many ways it can come to us. But it's a star. It points us to the fact that there's more to be had in this thing. There's a greater revelation waiting for you. There's an experience of the manifest presence of Jesus that is there to be had if you follow the star. But that is not what I've done all too often in my life. And I know this, I know I'm representative, so I know I'm speaking to many of you who have been in the same boat. We see the star, we talk about it, we might even tell it to other people. Wow, I had this great experience. We might journal about it or something like that, but we don't follow it. The wise men did something to a greater degree than anybody else in the Bible story, with maybe the exception of Mary and Joseph. And that is, they completely altered their lives, totally changed the details of their lives in order to pursue the more, to pursue the revelation of Jesus, to pursue the manifest presence of Jesus. And in their case, it was a huge upheaval of their lives. And so often what I've done in years past is I got the star, I didn't follow it to the more, and then sometimes many years later, God, because he's faithful and kind, has once again brought me back to this place where I see the star again. This time I follow it and I press in and I get this wonderful revelation, or I have an experience of his presence in my life, and it's wonderful. And God tells me, Jim, I intended this for you a long time ago. I gave you the star, but you didn't follow it. You didn't change your life. You just kind of went back to business as usual. So here's my commendation for you today. One of the things you're doing with a fast is you're following the star. You're changing your life. You're saying, I'm going to let my business as usual kind of schedule go by the wayside. I'm going to make room to follow the star. And I want to encourage you that God honors that, and there is going to be a revelation for you and an encounter with the manifest presence of Jesus on the other side of this, whether it's immediate or sometime in coming. I promise you it's going to be there because you are honoring Epiphany in your heart, whether you know it or not. You're following the star. not just noting it, talking about it. Think about it. The wise men could have done that the rest of their lives. They could have said, oh man, we had this great experience one time, saw this cool star, it was so neat. Well, we think it talked about a king, but if they never followed it, big deal, right? So good for you. Hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I'm not sure if I'll post these over the weekend, but if not, I'll get back to it on Monday. Love you, everybody.